January 5th, 1527, at this site, this plaque marks the location where several Anabaptists were forcibly drowned. The leader of them was 29-year-old Felix Manz. He had been a close associate with Ulrich Zwingli. Zwingli's church is called the Grossmunster church. It's off in the distance there. And together they'd work on the Bible translation and other reforms of the church that were taking place here in Zurich. But in the end, Felix Manz refused to back down on the issue of a separation of a church control of the state and vice versa, and also on the issue of infant baptism. He and others refused to have children baptized as prescribed, not just by the Catholic Church, but also by the Reformed Church. And so his punishment was going to be what was often mockingly referred to as the third baptism, which was death by drowning. And that took place here, January 5th, 1527. Felix Manz stands out as the first martyr of the Anabaptists here in Zurich. His last words were a hymn that he had written, part of which said, "Into thy hands I commend my spirit." Both sides of the river were filled with people, and during the course of this ordeal, a Reformed preacher got in a small boat and went out into the platform by where Manz was bound and implored him to recant. But another voice, it is said, rang out from across the river, very loud voice, and that was the voice of Felix Manz's mother, who implored him to hold fast to his faith and to be brave at this time of greatest trial. And he was. Felix Manz died January 5th, 1527, at the age of 29 years old. Though he had become a close associate with Zwingli, and they had made many biblical changes together, Zwingli felt that Manz and some of his co-workers, Conrad Grebel and George Blaurock, had gone too far in his mind, and so he and others stood before the Zurich Town Council and were condemned at that place for their faith and action. They denied the existence of purgatory, and they demanded that Mass be abolished, and also infant baptism. And so on this day, the executioner took out Manz to this ice-cold river where he faced his death. So Felix Manz's death at the age of 29 would be counted a loss by many people. However, his testimony of faithfulness had a great influence on Baptists in the future in areas such as Bohemia, and then later in Holland, as well as in England and beyond. The 1520s were a time of great change in Zurich, the Reformation taking hold, but also the Anabaptist movement. Unfortunately, due to the findings of the Zurich City Council, many of the Anabaptists had to flee this area and for their lives in order to survive. If they stayed, many of them were under the sentence of death. But this plaque along the Limmat River in Zurich, in the shadows of the beautiful Grossmunster Church, Zwingli's church, marks the place where one of our forefathers gave the ultimate sacrifice for the cause of Bible truth. We're thankful for the memory of Felix Manz.